Alright, what's going on YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider, coming at you. Super tired. It's pretty late for me as a teacher. Worked all day and got to work in the morning, so I'm trying to make a quick video, and YouTube's not letting me go live because I don't have enough subscribers, so I'm going to do it this old-fashioned way. So I'm going to come with you guys tonight and give you I'm going to call it a somewhat semi-realistic mock draft, 7-round mock draft. What I think the Raiders should do. It's really hard when you do these things because the fact is, everyone says, when you watch these mock drafts, there's two routes you can go. There's what they think will happen and what they think should happen. And you draft, BPA or best player available. You don't draft for need, but when you're doing a mock draft, it's all for need because you don't know how the board is gonna fall, right? And when I'm doing a 7-round mock draft, I'm a busy guy. I'm on the go all the time. I got a more than full-time job and a wife and 2 brothers I raised. I don't have enough time to do a 7-round mock draft for the entire NFL. So my board, I just basically am looking at where other people think players will go, and I'm kind of grabbing those players up based off of need. So this may not be the most realistic thing. This may not be the way it goes. It never goes the way you think it's going to go, and that's the truth. I doubt I hit a single one of these players. No one thought Terrell Edmunds last year would be picked in the top 3 rounds, I don't think, let alone the first round, and he was by the Steelers. Rashard Penny for the Seahawks, same kind of a thing. So, some guys I have maybe dropping a little bit that don't drop, or maybe I have some guys going way earlier than they do go. No, everyone thought come draft day that Maurice Hurst would be picked top 2 or 3 rounds at least, even with the heart condition. Some people thought he would be completely undrafted. You never know. We picked him up in the 5th. So, couple things too. I'm not doing trades. I genuinely believe that with one exception, the Raiders, we should try and move out of the number 4 spot. And I'll explain why in a minute. But I really think we should try and move back out of the number 4 spot and pick up a couple extra picks. So the one exception is if we're picking 4 and Quinnen Williams is on the board. I recently made a video about this, but it didn't upload for whatever reason, so here's hoping that this one does. But I've never been a fan of the idea of drafting Quinnen Williams because I don't think we need a defensive tackle. I actually think it's probably the position we're deepest at on our roster. However, Quinnen Williams is, without question in my mind, the best player in this NFL draft, better than Kyler Murray, better than Nick Bosa. I think Quinnen Williams is the best player in the draft. And if you have a chance to draft the best player at the draft, even if it's a position of strength, you do it. Do you turn down an Aaron Donald type player because you have some pretty decent players there? You don't. And the way the NFL is going now, it's a trendy league. The big trend is rotational pieces, rotating guys across the defensive line, and I think Quinnen Williams will push the pocket, will bring an interior pressure that can't be stopped, and with that, our defensive ends will eat because he's forcing the quarterback out of the pocket. So I really think that'll help us fix our sack problem. I think it will help our secondary look really, really good. Gareon Conley, and if we keep Daryl Worley, we brought in LaMarcus Joyner, we've got Carl Joseph, Nick Nelson from last year. We've got some pieces along the secondary that I think quarterbacks have less time to sit comfortably in a clean pocket, especially when the pressure is coming up the middle. I think they'll look a lot better. So first pick, I have Quinnen Williams. If he gets picked, I think we need to try and move down. Simple as that. 24th pick. In a dream world, I would put Brian Burns. However, I feel like, let's say we move down from 4 to 6, I would be cool with taking Brian Burns. So I don't think there's any way he'll be there at 24. So I put Cleveland Farrell, edge rusher from Clemson. I don't think he'll be there at 24 either, but the trend has been down for him for whatever reason, and no one seems to know why, which I think it's just a bunch of smoke screens. I think he'll probably be a top 15 pick, to be honest with you. But I think that if he was there at 24, that would fix a lot of problems. Having Arden Key, Maurice Hurst, Quinnen Williams, Cleveland Farrell across Furl is how I think he wants it pronounced. It's like referral, which as a teacher, I know a lot about. So Furl, I believe, is how he pronounces it. Having him there at 24 would be insanely awesome, and I think it would fix everything. So I picked 27. I was taking Noah Fant, tight end out of Iowa. This is a pick that I'm really big on. I really like the idea of grabbing one of these Iowa tight ends. I also am not, it's hard to explain, I'm not down on the idea of waiting to take one mid-round. You see a lot of those guys kind of panning out, guys like George Kittle. So I wouldn't be upset to see that happen. I do think that the order in which you take a player between 24 and 27 is extremely important. You don't take a tight end at 24. You don't take a running back at 24. And the reason being, I don't think, the reason being is because you look at the two teams that are sitting there at 25 and 26 is the Colts and the Eagles. Neither of them need a tight end. And I don't think either of them are going to be willing to take a running back in the first round, especially with Philadelphia bringing in Jordan Howard. Even though a lot of people don't think he's the guy, they have enough pieces there, I think that would push that need down, and they wouldn't want to take a Josh Jacobs in the first. So I think that you take the best edge rusher, because they could take an edge rusher or whoever else is number one on your board, as long as it's not a position that those two might draft, because you can come back and get that guy at 27, provided they don't trade down, if that makes sense. So I have us going Farrell and then Noah Fant, because, the Colts have Eric Ebron, who balled out this last year, and Jack Doyle. And then the Eagles have Zach Ertz, who's incredible, possibly the best tight end in the NFL. And then they just drafted Dallas Goedert in the second round last year, so they're not going to take a tight end right there either. It's also possible that Noah Fant's not on that board. I think you look at running back, you look at cornerback, you look at, cornerback would be a big one. Okay, so here's where things get a little bit dicey. We got pick 35, our pick in the second round. I thought corner, I thought running back Josh Jacobs, if he's on the board. I really like David Montgomery out of Iowa State. But I went with Mack Wilson, linebacker out of Bama. This has been a pick I've been seeing quite a bit. I've been pretty high on Mack Wilson all year. And I think he had a really down year, which I think helps us here, because he's going to fall probably further than he should. I understand that we really solidified, at least for the time being, our linebacker core, and maybe going in another direction would benefit the team more so initially. But I think finding a linebacker of Mack Wilson's quality here in the second round is just something we can't pass on. But this is where it gets difficult. Like I said, I don't have trades in this mock draft, and there's a huge jump because we go from pick 35 to pick 106, and I really have a feeling we're going to move some pieces and try and get back into the third round at least once, maybe twice. Maybe try and pick up another second rounder. I think if we moved back from like 4 to 11 with the Bengals and grabbed a second and a third rounder, that would really help us. Because then you just have to start making some decisions and realize that there's some weaknesses on your team if you don't do that. That could continue to be weaknesses thankfully we have 2 first-rounders next year. So tough decisions had to be made with this mock, and I made them with mine. So the next pick, 106 in the 4th, I took Travion Williams, running back out of Texas A&M. He's a guy I haven't watched a lot of film on, but I've started to hear his name more and more and more coming up, and I really, really like the style in which he runs. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he runs pretty angry. I don't think he's the biggest guy in the world. He runs angry, and I like that. I watched a pretty cool video. It was a highlight video, which you take that with a grain of salt. But he was talking to Marcus Allen, which was kind of like a sign for me. And Marcus Allen asked him, like, what do you want? What's your goal? And he said he wants to be a Hall of Famer in the league. And Marcus Allen asked him how he's going to get there, and he said he's going to bust my ass every day. And that's just the stuff you like to hear. That's the stuff you like to hear from those guys. So Travion Williams, running back, Texas A&M. And then again, you know, you start looking at guys who are going to come in and contribute depth pieces, and what positions you want to address. And I really don't feel great not addressing corner soon in this mock draft. And hopefully, maybe the Raiders will. Ooh, look at the truck behind me. Maybe the Raiders will do that. And it just depends on how the board falls. Again, this isn't necessarily what I think is going to happen. It's what I would do or whatever. You know, in this situation, in this scenario, this is the draft that I compiled. Yeah, and I think it's a good one. I think it's a really good one. I think it's this type of draft we need to hit. So in the 5th round, pick 140, I have the Raiders taking Terry McLaurin, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I think adding one more piece to that wide receiver core, a young piece to that wide receiver core, especially a guy with a lot of speed, would be super helpful. I don't think necessarily we need to do it super early in the draft, although it just depends on how it falls. Again, if DK Metcalf is sitting there at pick 27, yeah. If teams get nervous about Marquise Hollywood Brown and he's there in the 3rd and we trade down and we have a 3rd, 2nd rounder even, yeah, take him. But in this case, I took Terry McLaurin, another guy I've been hearing a lot about lately, and I think could really help give Derek enough weapons. Which is kind of a big theme this year, is Derek needs weapons, and they put him around him. He doesn't really have a lot of excuses. I have been Derek Carr supporter day one, continue to do so, but I'm of the firm belief that you don't take Kyler Murray this year, that you don't take a quarterback that you intend to come in and start day one this year, that you will ride with Derek Carr and he either takes you to the promised land or gets you freaking close, or you take Jake Fromm next year, Tua Tagovailoa, or even more so, you give him one more year, and then you take, what's that kid from Clemson? Sunshine. He looks like Sunshine. I don't know why. It's been a really long day. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. I'm like totally seeing his face. Anyway, kid from Clemson. I think he's going to be the most hyped quarterback in my lifetime. Trevor Lawrence is his name. Sorry about that. So there's options coming out. There's big options coming out in the future. And I think that for right now, at least, we ride with my guy Derek. Derek either takes us there or we upgrade him with options that will be probably better than Trevor Lawrence, or better than Kyler Murray in the pros. But who knows? I think I would be upset if we took Kyler Murray initially, and then I would come around to it. But Derek Carr is my favorite player in the NFL, so we're just kind of in that weird stage, It's just kind of weird all around. Okay, so 7th round. Again, we don't have a 6th round pick. We have a 5th rounder because we traded Kelechi Osemele, but we don't have a 6th rounder, and that might be another place we try and add. But so 7th round, pick 218. I have the Raiders taking Corey Ballantyne, cornerback out of Washburn. He's a really small school guy. Washburn's not a big name. And I know a lot of people are high on him, so he probably does not fall this far. But if he does, very high upside guy. Level of competition is concerning, obviously, but guys produce, and he's got the physical traits. And then the last pick 235, I have Andrew Wingard, safety out of Wyoming. It's kind of a pick that I've seen a lot of mock drafts have the Raiders take for months and months and months, and I kind of feel bad falling onto that. I'm going to try and put out a couple more mock drafts, try and shake things up, do some with trades, and I know that the draft is only a few days away, but I think this one was pretty base. I think I would leave the draft feeling extraordinary about the direction the Raiders were heading in. I think you at least have 5 solid day one starters, and in the first 5 picks, Quentin Williams, Clelin Ferrell, Noah Fant, Mack Wilson, and Travion Williams. I think those guys could all be solid day one starters, and then some good role players, some guys, Terry McLaurin, who can develop behind Antonio Brown and JJ Nelson if he makes it, and Terrell Williams, and really come in and have a role on this team. And Andrew Wingard, that if Ballantyne or whatever corners don't pan out, you can take Eric Harris, keep him at safety with Carl Joseph, and move Lamarcus Joyner down into the cornerback position. You can take an Andrew Wingard, and maybe he earns a starting job next to Carl Joseph, and it's better for us to have Joyner go down and play corner. So I think that they give you options, good special teams players, potentially. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. I'm gonna upload this. I'm sorry if I seem like out of it. I'm really tired. It's the end of the school year. For those of you who don't know, I'm an English teacher, high school English teacher here in the Central Oregon area, and it's just that time of year. I'm super tired. Everyone is kind of tired, and but I'm so excited for this draft. Having 3 first rounders is incredible, and I have never seen anything like that in my lifetime. Or not with my team. I've seen the Browns do it before, and the Vikings, but I think that we need to hit on as many of these as we can. So I think this would be a good one. Anyway, let me know what you think. Throw me any names that maybe I'm overlooking here. Like this video if you like it, dislike it. If you didn't like it, tell me why. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, just win, baby.